was Xblades against Quad Force 1. After that point, we never saw Quad Force 1 in a final again. I don't think they even made it into a semi-final from that point. Whereas I mentioned earlier, Xblades were in 6 out of 8 finals in the entire year. But day 1 of last season was this. Xblades against Quad Force 1. After that, all the technical problems. I mean, to explain what happened in Lats, Quad Force 1 turned up with enough equipment, I think, to fly one race. I think everything got impounded by customs, and they just about had enough components to put drones together to fly a day, and second day was a bit beyond them. After that, technical failures of different kinds, not an availability thing, but technical failures of different kinds, it just all went horribly wrong, as we've already explored. Here is a replica of that. When they raced at the start of 2019, Xblades won 3 points to 2. It was so close. Can Quad Force 1 do it the other way and start off 2020? Aaron and Campbell against Kim and Rousseau.
Very curious to see this one.
Okay, so it is Quad Force 1 in dark blue, and it is Xblades in light blue. That's Aaron and Campbell for Quad Force 1 in dark blue, Kim and Rousseau in light blue for Xblades, and it is close and tight, but it is Quad Force 1 in the lead after the dive. Aaron is where he's usually been after that dive. Rousseau is where he's usually been in the dive, i.e. in the front of their teams, respectively. Campbell is fighting with Minchan Kim, and Campbell is now past Kim, and Rousseau have moved up. Aaron's getting support from the Chief down there. You see his view as he's looking so intent. Aaron is away over the roof. Campbell is straight. That is good. I've seen Rousseau wobble a little bit on that bit. Not there for Campbell. And as he comes out of the slalom, he's still behind Aaron. Where's Rousseau and Kim featuring in this one? As you can see, all four making their way up to the top of the tower. There's not many seconds or fractions of a second between any of these. Aaron's got the lead. Rousseau and Kim have both managed to pass Campbell. Going to the finish gate for the first race in the final, and it is Aaron. Campbell got passed by both of them, but Aaron takes first blood.
Come on!
And we have the first one here. First one from the USA. Incredible. So the competition, I would say, started.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Xblades, they don't like to lose, so I'm sure that as soon as they saw this win, they said, okay, now let's focus again.
That is exciting, isn't it? First blood to Quad Force 1.
Wow.
I mean, you can't draw very much from that. Remember, there are 12 heats here, so a lot to look forward to. But there's the start. There's the start of a huge result. I'll admit, I was erring then towards using the word upset or surprise. It's not that. Quad Force 1 have incredible pilots. Last year was terrible technical issues for them. Alex mentioned it earlier on. We've already briefly touched upon it as well. It's pretty well known. 2018, they were runners-up in the World Championship. Don't forget. So, they can do it. Yes, it is a different roster, but they are absolutely making this work. Xblades are much more the team we know from previous years. They brought in MCK. You can't say that has done anything other than strengthen their roster. And Quad Force 1 have been showing how dominant they are on this track. Maybe this format, playing in simulator, having a short window to learn tracks, is one of the strengths that Quad Force 1 are going to show us they've got over Xblades. Let's find out what happens here. Rousseau is the lead for the start of heat number 2. Campbell and Aaron come down into the dive with him. Kim is at the back of all of this. His quarterfinal was, as you pointed out, Mirko, just basically repeat. I referred to him as being like a machine. He has not had that consistency in the semis.
Yeah.
Hasn't started to show it in the grand final here either. There's the view in the kicker. Head towards the Cathedral Tower, through the first gate and out of the second one. That's Aaron's view as he's trying to catch Killian Rousseau. They're both clean over the roof of that, with the camera angles pointed so far down due to the pitch forward, which means you can't actually see the little architectural obstacles that you might run into on the top of the roof. Coming out of that on this lap, it's still Aaron with Rousseau, but Rousseau is right alongside him now and starting to take the lead from him. Campbell is in this race too. Kim is not making it work. Rousseau and Aaron for the... Let's go! Campbell thinks it might be him. He is roaring out of his seat. It's Aaron again.
Wow.
Rousseau getting second again. But it's Aaron's point is the one that matters. Aaron's place is the one that matters. Quad Force 1 have 2.
Alex is super hyped.
I mean, this is it. Think how long it's been for Quad Force 1.
Yeah. They really deserve it. Incredible. And also, I was looking at the picture of the pilots, they never blink their eyes. They are so concentrated that they even forget to blink their eyes.
Yeah.
And that's something that always happens when flying drones. And I never understood why. How is it possible? For me as well, for Ellie's helicopters or drones, I forget to do it.
I'm just looking back over past histories between these teams because we've had like hundreds and hundreds of races in DCL, and you got to look back. I think this is worth mentioning. I mentioned at the start of 2019, the first day of racing in Lax, the final was between these two teams. And the very first time we ever saw Quad Force 1 was actually the first race we did in 2018. And in the very first quarterfinal, Xblades demolished them. They were called Xblades then. They wiped them out 5-0. Quad Force 1, and they were talking up their chances. In comes Quad Force 1. They didn't score a single point. That was in Munich when they absolutely didn't have any of their own kit to fly. The next day, they turned up and made it into the finals against Xblades with kit they weren't even used to flying. Quad Force 1 and Xblades. Oh, we could go on and on about their history. Let's just enjoy the racing that we've got here. It's such a great way to start the season. Here's Campbell's view. There's no one in front of him because he's the leader. Making that work. Rousseau and Kim behind him. Kim's starting to make something happen for himself. Aaron is down in fourth in here, out of the Kaka. And Campbell takes the lead up to this. It's hard to tell with Rousseau and Kim who's got the best route on that, but it's still Campbell up front. Out through Toblo. It's just, Aaron is not in it. It's going to be down to Campbell to get this point, and he does.
Let's go!
Look at him go.
There you go.
Get you some!
Alex Campbell is absolutely happy. Look at him.
I mean, it's impossible to describe how much this could mean to him, having come to every race last year and not able to do it. And in 2018, being the runners-up in the World Championship. The first day of 2018, they got destroyed by Xblades. They came back on day 2 when we raced over the lake in the Munich 1972 Olympic Park and took Xblades to the final. But they raced against what was Xblades. That's what we used to call the Xblades team. They raced Xblades and they lost the final. The next race, they lost the final to Xblades. The next race, they weren't in it.
It's a nightmare.
They raced against Xblades, I think 6 times in 2018.
I also have to say they were really unlucky as well. That was their
7 times. 7 times. One in a quarterfinal when
very unlucky.
kit was impounded. 6 times Quad Force 1 have raced Xblades when they were called Xblades in a final, and they lost all of them. They have never beaten Xblades, now Xblades. Never beaten them. They've raced them a lot of times. It wasn't last year. They've never done it. This is everything to Chief and the guys right now. Rousseau has the lead, however, on this nighttime heat over Aaron and Campbell, and Mitch and Kim is still surprisingly at the back and has hit the crown. Nobody's hit that. He's having massive problems, whatever it is. Or maybe not. Maybe that is just a catch-up issue because his drone is leaping around his circuit and very much still flying. So perhaps it just glitched out as it reached the crown. It did look like it had come to a dead stop when it hit it. That wouldn't really happen. Okay, the lead is Rousseau's. Kim is now starting to function in this as well. Campbell and Aaron are seeing Kim moving around on all of this, and that might be very off-putting for him. You've just got to make this work if you're in the dark blue and in the American drones. Rousseau has dropped back from first to third. Campbell and Aaron have both managed to pass him. Coming down around the corkscrew now and through Turvo. We're going to make a dart to the finish. MCK has surprisingly got all of them, and they absolutely needed that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they needed this one. Minch and Kim in the night track he is strong, definitely. We can tell it from here. And especially on the Torvo tower, they are making exactly the same turn. They take probably not even a second to make 500 degrees or 450 degrees. It's just incredible.
So Rousseau, who was doing very well earlier on, so far not managing to pick up a point in the grand final. Quad Force 1 getting 3 on their way down, and Xblades have pulled one back with MCK, who just hasn't featured. Mirko, it's really hard to describe what's going on with MCK because his drone is definitely glitching around his course, and that can only be an internet issue. Racing is definitely fair, the timings are definitely right. And remember, if the team manager wasn't happy with the situation, he'd be levying a protest and we would be investigating whether we need to rerun any of these races.
Correct.
So, nobody's putting any complaints in here. There's no unfairness going on. So what is the difference then for MCK and his performance? Because for the first few races he wasn't featuring, but as you said, maybe it's just now it's nighttime. This is the track he prefers. He was good on the daytime one earlier. He hasn't been good enough so far.
Yeah.
Our next nighttime heat, and it is 3-1 to Quad Force 1 as we start this. Everybody is over the building. Everybody is into the corkscrew. Oh my God, there's nothing between them at all. We'll start lap number 2 and see if anybody starts to stretch their legs. Russo, Aaron at the front. That's changing around. MCK would like a bit of it. Campbell's name went to the top of the list briefly as well. There is nothing to separate, nothing to call. We'll work out if the corkscrew is where anybody can pull any distance away. Look at them fighting as they make their way over to start and start lap number 3. But now Campbell and Aaron got a little bit of clear air. They're air sharing over the roof of this and underneath the 2 hurdles, and that is all good. Kim is still featuring in this though. Very much at the front. Russo is not having the best time of it during these grand finals. Those routes around the Torvald Tower are good. Into the finish. It's a miss for Campbell.
I mean,
he missed the finish. And you can see it.
48-7 is
You can see it. You can see it. MCK gets that point. Xblades bring one back.
In the replay, we can probably see that in the finish gate. That was literally 10 centimeters, Matt. That was such a pity. For the whole course, look at that. Just for 5 centimeters. No.
Right now, we'd have a camera just focusing on a drone or on a pilot on his stage, absolutely despondent. We've seen it happen in real life. It happens in sim racing too. First 3 all go to Quad Force 1. Xblades Racing, pull back 1, pull back 2, both in the hands of Kim. If Russo gets into this racing, Quad Force 1 could see this start to slip away, but it's their last chance to do it. If Russo's going to feature and help MCK make it too, it's going to be now. This is the last race for today for all of these pilots, and then the other 2 on each team come and fight it out and determine who really is the champion of the Drone Grand Prix of Day 1. Nighttime race. Here we go. Everybody is capable of winning this. Is MCK's sudden resurgence, due to it being the nighttime track that he prefers, going to start playing in the minds of Quad Force 1? They can't let that get to them. They've got to go out and take this race now. Look at Campbell's aggressive attack as he moves up onto the wall with Aaron in front of him and everybody else too around the corkscrew. He'll fly. That's a great view from him as he makes his way on the start lap number 2 over that hurdle and heading to the Brightlink gate, but he's down in last, although he's fighting with MCK and managing to pass him. Russo, though, hasn't stopped Silas Aaron from getting the point. If this race stays as it is Aaron out in front, and he is very rarely caught. Russo is trying to do it. Kim is mucking places up as he moves from 4th to 3rd to 2nd, back down to 3rd and back to 2nd. Campbell, Russo, Kim, there's almost nothing to call it between them, but nobody is getting close to Silas Aaron, this new pilot for Quad Force 1, who is rocking out over the roof of this, coming down the corkscrew. This is going to be it as he makes way to the flag. Silas Aaron gets another.
Aaron, yeah. Silas Aaron again takes the first place now with
3 points.
8 second. Wow.
3 points out of 6 races, all grabbed by Aaron. Campbell got 1. On the other side, MCK pulled 2 for Xblades. They're 4-2 down as we swap pilots in the grand final. Whatever MCK was doing on the daytime tracks, it wasn't working out for him. The nighttime track really did. I think we saw Rousseau there having to take 2 turns around the crowd. He missed something completely. Kim making it work on the nighttime track. It looked like he might make a clean sweep and pull all 3 of them for Xblades and even the score. But Aaron goes and wins a nighttime race as well. 4-2 for Quad Force 1 over Xblades. I'm going to say it again. They have never beaten this team. They found themselves in 2018 against Xblades 6 times, maybe even 7 times I think it was, and lost all of them. One was a quarterfinal. I think all of the others were grand finals, and they never managed to do it. And then in 2019 they met on the first day of the season. That was a very different affair, and the rest of the season they don't want to ever talk about that again.
Yeah.
If only their kit hadn't failed them last year, we could be talking about Quad Force 1 as the team who stopped Xblades from being the 4-time reigning undefeated world champions. Are we looking at that for 2020? What an exciting prospect that is. The pilots are changing. We're going to bring on the other 4, and this grand final and the first Drone Grand Prix of 2020 are going to come to a conclusion with some of the most exciting racing we've ever seen. So make sure you're here for it. Make sure you join us tomorrow. We will be exclusively streaming on Twitch with Drone Grand Prix 2, the second day of racing, and it's different tracks again. For Quad Force 1 in the grand final, Pavel Leshak, who just bagged armfuls of wins so far earlier on today. Colby Katola not getting many winning points in his own right, but regularly getting the second one behind Leshak. That's what they need. Bannister and Gamble. Gamble picking up a load of points as well. Bannister doing it when it counts. You saw it earlier on. A true champion saying to himself, I am not going to make mistakes in this race, and went and won the one he had to do. Here we go with Quad Force 1's Leshak and Katola. They're both ahead of Bannister and Gamble until we get to the vertical part. When they start coming through the dive, Katola has been passed by Bannister, but Leshak is up front. Katola with sort of a grimace on his face there as he understands the pressure of the situation he's in. He's talking about DCL being the pinnacle of his career now that he's finally made it. Well, look, you're in your first ever day with DCL and you are in a grand final against the undefeated world champions. Now, you've got to show why the team picked you, and he's doing it. He's ahead of all of Xblades, and Leshak is still ahead of him as he's been before. One pilot, though, taking a terrible route. I think that's Leshak. He's dropped from first to third. He nearly overshot the slalom completely, managed to make all the turns he was meant to, but lost a bag full of time. Katola's in trouble as well. This is looking like they're going to hand a point to Xblades. They do. Gamble is cleanly through that. Is Luke Bannister going to make 2? No, he isn't. Leshak manages to speed him to it. Katola only a 1/10 of a second behind Bannister. He should take some encouragement from that. But Ashton did it. Ashton gets them 1.
Gamble is in, and he also is in with a 1.5 second roughly of distance between first and second place. So there's quite a big difference. If we are talking about this level, 1 second is a lot.
Oh, it's ages, isn't it?
It's ages, yeah, definitely. But we can see here there was also a little mistake from Pavel, because he, right after the slalom, he hit the wall on the right side. That caused a big lag for him. There is where he lost the whole time.
Gamble got the 1.
Yeah.
That's making the score. It's unbelievable, isn't it? That's making the score 4-3. This is as tight as it gets.
We are gonna know very, very soon, Matt.
I mean,
final.
If whoever wins this final has earned this with every scrap of determination and practice they've done. They haven't had any more time to practice the simulator's racetracks, this day and night track and tomorrow's. Everybody's had the same amount of time. Nobody has had more time than anyone else to learn these tracks, because you had to do it in that 45-minute qualifying window, and then they've had a warm-up for today. And that is it. But there is nothing to stop you spending as many hours as you can on the simulator to get used to flying it. MCK spends 5 hours every day playing DCL the game to be good at flying it no matter what the track is. That practice, that's up to you. Track-wise, nobody's getting any more time on this track than anybody else. I want to make that absolutely clear. Let's go to the kicker with Leshak in the lead. Gamble's in second and Bannister's in third. There's Bannister a long way behind him. You can see as he gazed towards the top of the tower. Before he reached that, the other guys were already out of it. Katola, it's not making it work for him today as he is a long way back in fourth now, but Gamble and Leshak are up the front. Gamble has got a big problem coming out of the slalom. I really don't know what he hit there. I hope we can get a replay of that. Leshak is also in trouble. Oh my God, Leshak, after coming out of the dive, completely lost it at the Tavola gate, and I think he's handed all the points. Indeed, he has to Xblades. Gamble had a problem, and Leshak had a bigger one. Xblades pulled 2 back. That is a massive result for Gamble and Bannister.
Pavel also was first in this one, but then afterwards there were some troubles, as you said. I think
as he exits this, he's hit he hit a cone and one of the features in the road and a lamp. What is it?
3 times.
What is that? 3?
It's a 3, yeah. So yeah, 3 crashes right after the dive.
Wow. So Gamble's got to count himself lucky there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because he'd already hit something. And it was a very weird spot coming out of the slalom, I think it was, which I've not seen anybody have trouble there. There is a narrow point as you're about to make your exit past the tree. As you head left towards the kicker, I think he hit the wall on the right-hand side.
He did.
Nobody has hit that until now. Somebody got very close to it earlier on. I don't remember who, but that's a surprise. But Ashton Gamble needs to be thanking his lucky stars there, because that crash wasn't as bad as the 3 that Pavel had. Pavel needs to shake that off now. We go racing in daytime. Bannister and Gamble are up front. Katola and Lashak are behind both of them towards the top of the tower. As you can see, Lashak is a long way back now. He can't be playing it safe. He can't let those 3 crashes get to him. Katola, this is your time to shine and show why Quad Force 1 picked you, because you need to catch Bannister and Gamble and pass at least 1 and ideally 2. There's the exit. There's that narrow point with the big light sign on it as you head towards the kicker, and then coming down through here, there's Katola's view. Xblades, they feel like they're in touching distance, but that is still a big gap to close against any drone racer, let alone Xblades. Somebody's taking a little bit of a detour between the end of the start going around the back of the Parliament building and the end of lap number 2. It's held them back some time. Look, it's the 2 drones of Katola and Lashak. They're practically side by side with a big gap between them and Xblades. This has got to be a 1-2 for Xblades, and it is.
Wow.
Everybody in within 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, Bannister and Gamble managed to keep a certain distance between the other 2 competitors, and they kept this distance since the beginning until the end. Looks like they were giving the end to each other and going around together, because they started together and they finished together. Incredible.
It's slipping away. It's hard to say it. It's slipping away for Quad Force 1.
Yeah.
That's 2 points and 2 points again for Xblades Racing.
Let's see the night one.
Quad Force 1 were 4-2 up after the first half. But this half has been going all Xblades. Look, they've picked 5 points up here. It's 7 points to 4 for Xblades Racing. Now let's see if the nighttime tracks are where anybody is going to lose their grip on this championship, or anybody is going to step up and show us what they can do. Lashak, Katola, Bannister and Gamble on the nighttime races. 3 races left. Got to make it count now, and Quad Force 1 are great at this. Lashak is the best pilot of all of these 4 in terms of qualifying on this nighttime track. Not the best overall, that was MCK, but right here and now of these 4, this should all be Lashak's territory. He was 6th in qualifying on this track, comfortably ahead of Colby Katola, and Gamble and Bannister were behind him as well. So Lashak could pick up a stack of points here, and he has to. He absolutely has to. Let's see if he can do it. He's in the lead now. We come around the corkscrew on the first of our 3 nighttime tracks to decide day 1. Going to the Brightling Gate on the start of this lap, and it's good. Lashak has still got the lead. Gamble and Bannister are behind him. Katola isn't doing what he needs to do, which is to break up. He needs to get up to Bannister, and he's a long way behind. Then he needs to pass Gamble and make it 2 points for his team, not 1. Lashak is doing what he needs to do. He's constantly flying, and he's into the crash gate first. That's the one that he needed. He would have loved it to be 2, but Katola, he's not getting there.
Yeah, Powell is angry now. He wants to help the team wants to help the team to make it. It's very difficult because they need a little bit more points now to stay ahead, because they were 7-4.
Yeah.
Now they should be 7-5. They're still missing 2 points. If both of the teams are gonna be first and second, then they could make an equal final point.
And what happens in that? Because I know people are watching. I know you're watching and thinking, what happens if it's tied?
Yeah.
If it's tied, the team who are higher in qualifying seed win. That's Quad Force 1. They are the pole position. They are the number 1 seed out of all 8 teams today. Xblades have to beat Quad Force 1. Currently, they are 7-5 up. And remember, in the semi-finals, it was 7-all going into the 12th heat, and that is the one that Luke Bannister turned up and won when he told himself, I've got to do it now, without making any mistakes.
Let's see.
Let's see what he's got, indeed. Lashak Starts off right. Bannister takes the lead from him before they've even reached the climb up over the Parliament building. Is this the Bannister who knows how to talk to himself and tell himself how to win races? It could be, and this would be a great time for him to show. He's fighting with Gamble for the lead, though. The lead's swapping back between them. It doesn't matter. It's Xblades 1 and 2. It's Quad Force 1 in 3 and 4. Leshak and Katola need to start moving things as they start lap number 2 around the back of the Parliament building and coming up over the wall. And Katola is starting to get it done. He's moved up past Gamble, but he's slipped back again. Leshak is in here as well. Katola and Leshak, you've got to move up now because we're on to lap number 3, and that's the final lap, and it is looking all Xblades. What happened to Katola and Leshak? They've just handed 2 points to Xblades, and they can't hand it because with that, they're basically unreachable. What happened to the 2 dark blue drones of Quad Force 1? Heading for the finish gate now. This is the chance you've got to make it, and they do. That is unbelievable. Bannister getting a win. Gamble getting the second place behind him. That is 2 more points. And that is absolutely astonishing after the earlier brilliant flying, particularly by Leshak. Mirko, break it down for me.
It's absolutely incredible. I was just looking at the race with my eyes full open and I couldn't understand the distance. Like they took a big distance between each other. I think that was also the stress that they created step by step during the race, you know, because I think that part of the strategy of Xblade could be also using the stress for them, you know, in the right way. So I think in this moment Quad Force 1 is getting a little bit stressed because they want to make it, they really need to, but it's hard. It's hard, and we just have one more race.
We do. One more heat to go. See how Quad Force 1 can do against Xblades Racing. That one really let them down. They needed that, and it's going to cost them. Let's go into our final heat of the day. Leshak has the lead. Katola would love to take it and get a win. He picks up 1 in the quarterfinals. We've not seen a lot from him since, but he's a brilliant pilot. We'll see more from him throughout 2020. Katola and Leshak are at the front now. Gamble and Bannister are behind both of them. It's mixing up a bit, as you can see. Those colours moving around, but it is Leshak now with a comfortable lead. And Katola was alongside him, but has dropped. No, hang on. It's Leshak who's dropped back. I beg your pardon. Katola is the lead here. He's under a ton of pressure now. Maybe he feels like, okay, well, I'm just going to go out and take this one like Luke Bannister did at the end of his semi-final. It's Gamble and Bannister at the back. It is all Quad Force 1 at the front through the iconic gate, up and over the Parliament building. Here's Pavel Leshak's view. Katola's in front of him. They're in the 1-2 right now and looking to take 2 points here as they go around the DCL flag. Gamble is hovering into the field of view of Leshak. He's trying to take second from him. We'll go for the finish. And Katola gets the win.
Nice.
And Leshak gets second. That is a brilliant finish for Katola. 2 points for Quad Force 1. What does that mean in terms of the standings? I will tell you shortly. Let everybody work out their own maths. What an incredible final. What an absolutely incredible. The semi-finals and the finals, unbelievable. It's a good performance throughout the quarterfinals as well, but it went up and up and up another gear. Quad Force 1 against Xblades, this legendary battle that we were frankly robbed of throughout all of last year. We have it again, and it delivered and delivered and delivered. Quad Force 1 got 2 in the finish one there, but before that you see Xblades got 2, and they got a 2 earlier on and a 2 earlier on, and those 2s add up. The 1s for drones for Quad Force 1. It started to slip away right at the death, didn't it? What an absolutely mind-blowing final. Do you know who's won? We'll keep you waiting just a moment longer to let you know and confirm for sure that this race between Quad Force 1 and Xblades, we could watch this all day long.
Yeah, this could last at least for 24 hours, and I will never close my eyes as well. Incredible. That this race was the best of the day, of course, since it's the final, but the pilots racing in this race are the strongest in the world, and they showed this to us. Incredible. Unbelievable how many points they managed to get, and they almost get the same points between the 2 teams. So I'm really looking forward now to the final scores to see who is the team that made it for the 2020 DCL online event.
Oh, that was so exciting. We really couldn't have asked for more. What an amazing way to start our new season, new pilots, new tracks, new challenges, a new racing format as well, and all of it is delivering. And we get Quad Force 1 against Xblades in the final again. And if you're Apex, you might be looking at this and thinking, wow, we have beaten Quad Force 1. Are we now not going to be the main challengers for Xblades? Is that going to be Quad Force 1 like it was in 2018? Last year doesn't count. They didn't have the technology, as they mentioned earlier on. And no excuses. They should have had. This is the World Championship for drone racing teams. But that's what happened as a team and as a unit last year. This year, it's very, very different, isn't it? It does make you wonder, what if? And it must be making them question the same thing all about 2019's history too. So we are lining up interviews with pilots from both of our teams, from Quad Force 1 and Xblades Racing, and the confirmation that Xblades Racing are the champions of the Breitling Virtual Drone Grand Prix of Day 1. 9 points to 7. They were 7 points to 5 with 2 heats to go. Yeah. Got 2 points in the 11th one. That made it 9. Quad Force 1 pulled 2 back in that final one, perhaps when the pressure was off of Colby Katola and Pavel Leshak, and perhaps when Xblades were thinking, we've got it. However that worked out, Xblades Racing just managed to